Hey, what's up folks? How's it going? This is Waj. Hope you guys are all doing well. And if you're a big Star Wars fan and always wanted your own flying X-Wing or TIE fighter, well, there's a company called Propel that makes these drones over here. Specifically, we have the T-65 X-Wing Starfighter, the Advanced X-1, a TIE fighter, the one that Darth Vader uses in the first film, as well as the 74Z speeder bike from Return of the Jedi. We're going to talk over some of the capabilities of these things, but first we're going to do a brief unboxing of the X-Wing. Now you can see from the packaging itself that everything is really nicely laid out. Beautiful overall details in the box art itself. There's even a three-dimensional model of the craft itself, and each one of these, importantly, is a collectible item. You get a certificate with the unique serial number, so if you want to use it as a memorabilia to celebrate the launch of the Rogue One film, you definitely can, and it serves as a great display piece because as soon as you open up the top half of the box, you can see that there's our X-Wing all lit up very nicely, and you can hear the main theme of the Star Wars blasting inside. And the funny thing is, there's actually a couple of different themes built into the display case themselves. So based on the vehicle itself, you'll hear all the specific action sequences and themes associated to that craft in the actual film itself. So with this X-Wing, you'll not only hear the John Williams score based on the X-Wing sequences, but you'll also hear the dialogue for the attack sequences when the X-Wings are flying down the trench to destroy the Death Star. Now, this display case itself actually has its own built-in lithium polymer battery, and you can actually use the charger that comes with the drone to keep this thing charged up and running at all times. So if you want to use it as a display case and not fly it all the time, this is a great place to house the drone itself. Now, underneath the display cage and the drone itself, you'll find a couple of different things. Firstly, you'll come across the manual/user guide, so pretty vital for you to get the basics of how to fly this thing, as well as you'll come across the training cage, so you can put this on to the drone itself to keep everything protected, especially important when you're flying indoors. You'll also find the controller. Now, the controllers will be specifically themed for the vehicle itself, so either you'll get the Rebel Alliance controller in white or the Galactic Empire controller, which is in black with red accents. Continuing forth, you'll find a box that houses the battery packs, which you actually get 2 battery packs for each drone, and each battery pack is good for around 5 to 7 minutes of flight time, depending upon how aggressive you are with the controls. And you also get the charger that's specifically designed for each battery pack, and you can see the battery pack itself is actually integrated into the model itself. So on the X-Wing, it's the cockpit portion itself, and the charge time is really fast. I was surprised that you can get pretty much a full charge within 8 to 10 minutes. Some of the other things that you'll come across is 2 full sets of props, pretty important, although I found that the props themselves are very durable, but if you do break a set, you do have an extra one for you right there. You also do have a couple of extra screws if you lose some of them, as well as parts that are fragile on the model kit itself. So in this case, with the X-Wing, you have an additional set of laser cannons in the event that you break or destroy the original ones. Now, coming back to the X-Wing model itself, it's actually hand painted, and there's even weather effects to give it more authenticity. And with the integrated lighting effects and the transparent propellers located at the bottom portion of the craft, it does give the impression that it's kind of floating in space once you have it up in the air, which is really awesome to see. Now, looking at the advanced TIE fighter as well as the speeder bike, you can see that both of these models share some of the same attributes found on the X-Wing in terms of screen accurate proportions to the design, making them just not only flying crafts but also pretty accurate screen representations of the scale models used in the original films. Now, in terms of the flight dynamics themselves, they'll vary from craft to craft, but generally are fairly easy to fly. There's a little bit of a learning curve, and when you first start out flying them, I would highly recommend to use the training mode, which creates an artificial ceiling and floor that maintains a certain amount of hover so you don't destroy the craft straight off the bat, or if you're flying outside somewhere, it doesn't go flying off for whatever reason. Now, there are a couple of different flying modes for each craft, so you start out with a relatively slow speed, which I would highly recommend everyone to start out with, and eventually once you get comfortable and you have a big open space, you can go up to 35 miles an hour in its top speed configuration, which is pretty darn amazing. There's also capabilities for 360 aerial stunts, so you can do a left and right barrel roll with with just the press of the bumper buttons on the controller, so really easy to execute. Apart from just flying solo, each one of these drones has a integrated IR blaster and receiver, so you can participate in these laser battles that Propel has designed. So if you want to go head to head with your friend's TIE fighter, you can if you have an X-Wing or vice versa. So it kind of gives you a little bit more variety in terms of what you can do with these things. Beyond those factors, I would just recommend that everyone kind of take their time in terms of learning to fly these things. They're not as easy to fly as some of the more advanced quadcopters with optical stabilization and ultrasonic sensors. There is a gyroscope in there, and you can calibrate each one of them to kind of stay at a level positioning, which will kind of fix any kind of flight dynamic issues you might have. But regardless of those things, you are going to come across some occasional hover drift, and you're just going to have to master stabilizing any kind of stationary hover for a long period of time, and that'll just come with time and close care to flying responsibly. But really, besides those things, guys, I'm definitely a huge fan of these models over here. Always interested to see what Propel is going to do next with these things. There should be some future integration with a smartphone app for some of the games and enhancements that they're going to add in later on. So definitely some exciting stuff coming up. But besides all that stuff, guys, check out the link in the description down below for more details. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and we'll see you later. Take care.